Hello, Aquarius. Thank you so much for being here, you guys, and one last happy birthday to you. I hope all of you had beautiful birthdays. And my apologies for being late. I have not been feeling the greatest. Please forgive me and please forgive my voice. But thank you so much, you guys, for being here. All right, Aquarius. I want to be a queen, stating your sovereignty, declaring freedom, and passing a test, and then you have chaos and conflict. So, yeah, let's talk about this. The first thing that I got out of this right off the bat is that Aquarius does not want to leave a situation in chaos or disarray. That is not the intention. But I feel like you're going to be put in this place where you're going to want to separate from a situation or a person. And I feel like I need to push the codependency thing. Like, don't get involved in situations with people where they are dependent on you or you them. Because for Aquarius, it will be detrimental because I feel trapped. Like, if I leave the situation, it's going to create more conflict than what you're wanting to deal with, but you're still wanting your freedom. Now, by declaring your freedom or wanting to be independent, it may not be exactly what another person wants, and that may be where the chaos and conflict is coming up. But I also feel like the more that chaos rules, the more that the conflict continues, the more that you're going to want to separate. And you don't want it to be like this. But is that what's going to keep you in this situation and wanting freedom? All right, Aquarius, here we go. Here is your overall, the Empress. What is it with Aquarius and the Empress? I'm telling you. Beautiful. If you are a female, know what your worth is. That's immediately what I want to say because of the Oracle cards. But the Empress is talking about nurturing something and wanting to bring it to life. Pregnancy comes up with this, fertility, beauty, abundance, being able to enjoy the physical senses, but nurturing, caring, giving. For some of you, maybe dealing with the mother figure type. But for others of you, I think you're going to be focused on your caring, giving side, your natural ability to be like, the mother. But what I would say with your Oracle cards is be careful about getting in situations where you're like, I can fix you. I can fix this situation, because you don't want to be left hurt in the end. And again, knowing what your value is and what your worth is. But something that's being brought to life here. The Empress is still a very beautiful card. And if, like I said, if you're a female, you look fucking fantastic right now. Now, in the past, the Knight of Coins or the Knight of Pentacles. So this may be a situation that has been slowly progressing. And I think that for a lot of you, it's like being determined to kind of stay the course, but we're not seeing any immediate results, right? But slow and steady with the Knight of Pentacles. But yeah, I feel, methodical determination, I'm staying on this course here, no matter how long it takes. Now, for some of you, though, this could be really good news that's coming through for you to, continue with a project or a work situation, right? Financially, the Knight of Pentacles is always a good thing, but slow, very slow. In the present, the Fool. So this kind of feels like, even though things may have been moving slowly, it's like, I know where eventually this is going to head, but I'm not going to wait for that. I'm just going to go ahead and just jump right in, right? So taking that leap of faith with the Fool, new path. But, I worry a little bit, but we'll see. I don't want to judge it because all of it looks really good. It's the Oracle cards that kind of throw me off here because I feel like for Aquarius, this is the I can take care of you, but are you being too giving of yourself and have you jumped into something a little bit too quickly? But, we'll see here. Future conditions, the Hermit. All right. So instead of allowing, and this is kind of what I feel like, I don't really feel bad about the Knight of Pentacles. What I feel bad about is the action that's being taken in the present moment. I think that this situation should have been allowed to unfold like at its own pace. That's what I want to say, right? So for some of you, if this is about getting involved in a relationship, this could be, especially with the Empress, Venus, right? This could be, I can take care of you. I can provide, it kind of has a Queen of Pentacles type of feel, but very like over caring, over nurturing, and not really understanding what your value or worth is. And instead of like allowing something to go at its own pace, you immediately jump. You're all in. All of you is in. And then with the Hermit, you move into a place where I don't think that this is where you wanted to be. And I don't want to say that you're alone or that, a situation is definitely coming to an end. I don't think that that's it. But I think that you're going to be going your separate way, and again, right, declaring freedom. The Hermit is like, I need to separate from people and situations right now so I can do some deeper soul searching, and understanding what your value and worth is. But I don't want to say isolation, but I get the feeling that for a lot of you, because you were all in, you didn't want to be put in this place where you're having to do things on your own. It's almost like we should be doing things together. Now, the Fool, though, could be representing the actions of another person in the present moment that leaves you in a place where you need to do some soul searching on what's going on here, and how much of yourself you've been giving. Okay, your best path to follow, the Four of Coins, Aquarius. This is one of those things where you can't cling on to this. You can't do that. You can't allow somebody else to cling on to you. I'm telling you, that codependency feeling is coming up with this. The Four of Pentacles is saying that you're holding on too tightly. We just want to maintain things the way that they are right now. We don't want anything to change. We don't want it to get worse, but it's not getting any better. That's the thing. And I don't think that this is financial here. I think that this is a major event that's happening for some of you. Because you're like all about it, all in that, or like I said, it's somebody else. But with this, you have to be careful. You have to be careful about how tightly you're hanging on to a situation right now, because you think you can make it work, you can fix it, right? You're the mother figure, you can give, you can create. But at what cost if nothing is changing? Oh, in your environment, the Queen of Swords, and this is what I'm talking about, right? So like jumping headfirst into something and then being put in this place where like it's detachment, but I don't think that this is what you wanted or what you intended to have happen here. So you may be a little bit bitter and you may be tired of playing games, and this could literally be one of those situations where it's like, what? I'm not your mom. I can't take care of you anymore. But at the same time, I feel like for a lot of you, it's, I can fix this. I can make this better. But, you don't go head first into something being blissfully unaware and then move into the Queen of Swords if it was a good thing. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is not good. This is like being cold and shut off. I don't want to play these games anymore. I just want the truth. Don't play with me. Don't play with my emotions. Don't play with my heart. Right? Be honest with me. Be straight up. And for some of you, you could be dealing with a person here in your environment. Male, female, could be another air sign that you're dealing with. But they may be like going backwards almost, like, oh, they were all about it at one point, but then completely revert back to, we need to slow down. We need to just slow the roll here, right? And for you, it's like, well, what the fuck? What's going on? Because I don't think that Aquarius would blindly jump into something without being absolutely sure. Right? But the Empress, I go back to that and I think there is a part of you that feels like you can fix this. You can fix this person. You can fix this situation. Your hopes and your fears, the 9 of Cups. And that's understandable, right? This is what you want. You want that emotional fulfillment. You want to have your wishes fulfilled with this. But, man, I kind of feel like some of you have gone like head over heels a little bit too quickly and didn't really think about what that meant. And one of the things that I talk about with the 9 of Cups is you are responsible for creating your own happiness. If you put your happiness in the hands of the other, they will fail to create it for you. It is your responsibility to find what makes you happy. Nobody wants to hear this, right? Happiness comes from within. You could have all of these things in your outer world. You could have the person that, you think is perfect, but none of it is going to mean anything if you don't have inner happiness and inner peace. And what I worry about here is if you are very, I want to say being a little bit unrealistic about, especially if this is about a relationship when it comes to a person, right? Because I feel like it's funny because it kind of has a 6 of Pentacles type of feel. It's very one-sided, but man, you are all in. You're all about it. This is exactly what you want. This is exactly who you want. But this is no good. Things should have went at its own pace, but I also feel like the person that you're dealing with is stepping back, going, we need to slow down. But the fear there with the 9 of Cups would be that, you're not going to have that emotional fulfillment, or that this situation is going to completely drain you. But the blind hope and blind faith is that you're going to get exactly what you want. And then coming out, you have the 10 of Cups. No shit. But the thing is with the Hermit, what I feel like is happening here is that you may have jumped headfirst into a situation, but you have to go into this place where you need to do the deeper soul searching about what it is you're actually creating here, with the 10 of Cups being about the happily ever after, right? Again, it's your responsibility to create that happiness. But do you know what your value and worth is? And why is it that if we're looking at the happily ever after, that you're on your own with the Hermit? And then you have the Queen of Wands. And unfortunately, I feel like a little bit bitter, but I don't think that you're going to allow anybody to see that. And I actually feel like with the Empress, especially if you're female, there's going to be like a mask that's being put up of I'm strong, I'm independent, and I can take care of myself. I can control this situation. But the thing is that control was given up though before. Okay, so again, with the 10 of Cups, we're talking about your overall happiness here, but that overall happiness is, coming to an end in a way where it's going to hurt. With the 3 of Swords, we are talking about separation, heartbreak, man. And with the Queen of Wands, right, like I feel like, especially if you're female, you're trying to pick yourself back up. If we're talking about the person that you're dealing with, whether they're male or female, if they have fire going on in their chart, you have air, whatever. And then you have Virgo going on. But this kind of feels like this is somebody who attracts a lot of attention. And this could be potentially damaging for a relationship, especially with the 10 of Cups. What should have been an overall happy situation ends up being something completely different. But the thing is Aquarius, if you're the female in the situation, whether you're with a male or a female here, I look at this and I think that a lot of you are needing to go back into a place where you can create happiness for yourself alone. You didn't want it to be this way, but because of the separation that's going on, I feel like you've been played around with one too many times, but I think that you were completely head over heels about something or someone. The Emperor and the 9 of Coins. The Knight of Coins, if I could talk right. The Emperor is about control. And you have chaos and conflict. The Emperor in reverse is complete fucking chaos, right? But for some of you, what I feel like here is that you gave up control of a situation because it leads into the Fool. If we were in control, we would continue to do the slow and steady. Okay? And then you end up with the Three of Swords, jumping head first and being completely heartbroken and then being bitter. I'm telling you, with Queen of Wands, bitter. We're not happy about this. You are not a happy mama. But the thing is with the Empress still being the overall, the thing is that you can still create happiness and abundance. But the thing is with the Hermit, you may have to go your own way. That, or you need to really consider who or what is going to bring you this happiness that you're wanting. Because it's there. I mean, the Ten of Cups is there for sure. But I think that a lot of you think that the current situation is what's going to bring that to you. But with the Three of Swords, that's a no. Unless we are trying to forgive. And that may be where some of you are going into hermit mode. Now, that could be the case, right? We're needing to spend some time on our own and separate ourselves from the situation to do the deeper soul searching so that you can understand what your value and worth is and what you're actually trying to create here, or what you're actually trying to manifest or bring to life. And if we can forgive, then we can get back to a place where we can control the situation instead of allowing things to be in chaos, right? But Aquarius, I'm telling you, just be careful about getting head over heels about something right now, whether it's a job, a person. But I do think that for some of you, this is going to be, a major event in your life, possibly having to do with a relationship. Now, for some of you with the Empress, be careful about pregnancy. That's all I'm going to say about that one. All right. And then be willing to express love. When we express love, we begin to receive more love. So somebody may hurt you, and you may have to let it go, and you may have to forgive them, and you may have to be willing to express that love to them if you're wanting to get to that happily ever after. But you're going to have to focus on the good things about this person, even though what you may be seeing isn't so great. And that's just straight up. I always look at focus on love and think you can't judge everybody based on the assholes that you've dealt with before. You have to see the good in everyone, right? But that may be difficult to do, and it may be difficult for you to express love to this person if you're seeing something in them that you don't quite like. But I would say to Aquarius, overall happiness is there. You can have it, but there may be a situation where you're going to have to forgive. You're going to have to let go, right? And it may be hard to understand, especially if you've been the caring, giving, nurturing one, right? But know what your value is, know what your worth is, but also know that when it comes to what you want, don't expect it from someone else. Because I really feel like some of you are dealing with somebody who's going backwards. Like, we have to slow down now. And you don't want to be in this place where you feel like somebody is playing with your mind and your emotions, right? But be careful about bitterness and don't give up control, right? And it's not that you need to be over controlling in order to create order. It's just don't, allow yourself to completely lose control in this situation. Right? But give yourself some time here, Aquarius. And with the Hermit, right, I'm not talking about isolation, but make sure that you are doing the deeper soul searching so that you understand what that happiness means to you.